This is a message from your guides reading for the Andromedan star being. All right, I still have the same two group crystals here, which I've had since the beginning of this month. And I was actually still finishing up on a few of the last month readings when I first started using those. So that would be my sodalite and my zoazite. I'm not even going to talk about those again. Okay, I think I am actually going to mention sodalite a little bit because it also has to do with some of these other crystals as well. I have my lapis lazuli here and I have my purple fluorite. So lapis lazuli is a throat chakra stone, so is the sodalite. So lapis lazuli also has some third eye energies going on in there, but what I'm going to mention about the sodalite would be setting boundaries. So even with the purple fluorite here, there's a little bit in common with the sodalite, having to do with psychic protection. That can obviously be a form of boundary setting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and surround us in some positive space with my lapis lazuli here. Okay, so there's a guide coming up right away. This doesn't, excuse me, this doesn't feel like one that I usually talk to. This one feels a little bit different. Some kind of angelic being, it feels like. Okay, and they're saying female because I wasn't even sure of the gender for a second there. Oh, this is a master guide. Okay, so that's why I haven't felt this one yet. Okay, so this is a master guide. Okay, so I feel like you've kind of come through certain things. So now this guide can kind of take you down the journey further. There were almost some things that needed to be established, I feel like, before this guide could come in. Not even just that. Okay. Yeah, there's this feeling like this situation that you've been in, and this whole going or staying thing. Yeah, like even with the last reading, they're saying a probable energy. Like, okay, this right now is the probable energy. But whenever a guide is talking about a probable energy, that's saying, okay, you can shift this energy. You need to look at this. This is where you're headed. This is where you're going. Shift this now. If you want this to be different or if you don't want a pitfall. But at the same time, let go of needing it to be a certain way, because even if the worst thing were to happen, still this flip around would eventually occur. So they knew that you were going to shift the energy, but it feels like they didn't know when. Yeah, and because they're saying, yeah, because there's this energy here like your situation could have gone in like multiple different ways. There's a feeling like that. And I'm feeling that with this guide. Like this could have gone in multiple different ways. So it almost, so it's not just like, so it's almost like the energy needed to be established like for sure, this is the direction that things are taking with these certain things. So now I can come in and kind of, I don't know why she's saying help you out of it or help, because no, there's still a situation to almost help you out of, it feels like. I thought, like that was like over, like they helped you out of it. No. Okay, no, she's saying to help you out of it. Okay, so there is still an energy that you're moving through. Okay, so that's why you're still like seeing the cockroaches. So that's good that now you're not feeling this fear when you're seeing them. You're not associating them with something really negative, and also they're not in your house anymore, but you still keep seeing them for this reason that they're still challenging you. Now, they're saying, though, in the winter time, for instance, you might see less cockroaches, as we get into winter. Even in Los Angeles, you might start to see less. So she's mentioning that because she's saying that sometimes you have to take into account the weather. So in the next few months, if you're seeing less, she's saying to keep in mind that there might still be some challenges looming there or looming ahead, that this totem could be warning you about, even if you're not seeing it physically so much anymore. So she's saying to still be on the lookout for different hints, and maybe they'll be shown to you in a different way. But that's the thing about the cockroach. It almost feels like the message almost feels like a type of warning or precaution. That was even actually coming up. I remember that when I was reading about the totem. When I was reading the meaning of the totem, that was one of the things that was actually coming up, I remember, was almost like, it is almost like a type of warning. It's warning you of a type of challenge. So another thing is almost like shift this now. And they're saying that there are even things with your health to pay attention to. So they're saying that unless you have to do something, when it comes to your business and all these things, there might be some things that you have to do, okay? Or maybe you have certain deadlines or whatever it is. Maybe you need to show certain things. Or maybe you're more comfortable if you're doing certain things and you feel like you can show certain things to yourself, even by a certain time, or to others. Okay, but if it is just for yourself, though, you can take a break. It feels like unless you have to do something by a certain time, you can be patient and even just take a week and just kind of let your, it feels like, energy come back. She's also saying that you need to understand that you were pushing certain things away by being so kind of fixated on needing a certain outcome. So it's good that you flipped it around, but at the same time, she's saying that that's just something to almost keep in mind for the future. It's like you have to, in order to shift an energy, in order to shift into an energy that you want, you have to be willing to almost let go of the expectation after you have almost made your declarations or set your intentions, however you want to say it, and maybe you do this every day, okay? As a for instance, so let's say that there's something that you want to visualize. or create however you want to do it. Maybe it's a change within yourself and you're just using an affirmation or something. Well, obviously you can't have negativity about this thing the rest of the day. So in the morning, you can't, you know, you can't say one thing about yourself. Maybe it's even about your self-image. You're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're trying to say some type of affirmation or something like, I love myself, or whatever it is. And then the rest of the day, just nitpick all about yourself. And this, they're saying not that you're doing this. This is for instance, not even related. It's just to give like an example. So okay, so what she's saying is that, so just like in this case, as a for instance, so let's say it's something else, let's say it's some physical thing that you want to manifest and maybe you're visualizing it. She's saying in that case, you probably wouldn't only want to say affirmations. You'd probably want to do some kind of visualization, or at least do something to generate the feeling. If it is an affirmation that could generate the feeling, then okay, but it's all about the feeling. Okay, so the rest of the day, obviously, she's saying you don't want to have the opposite feeling. You don't want to be holding on to the opposite feeling all throughout the day, and then just this one time in the morning, you have this specific energy that you want to hold. But the problem is, she's saying that you also don't want to have the opposite energy running through you all day long either, where you're trying to think about this thing in a positive way, and you're just kind of obsessing over it and trying to think about it and think about it and think about it, trying to manifest it, even if it's in a positive way. She's saying that that can push things away as well. So you need to be in the space of allowing, so that means that you let it go. And like, as, you know, to as high of a degree that you can, you don't think about it at all, negatively or positively. And you can even do this a few times a day. It doesn't only have to be one time a day, but the point is having set times and then letting it go for the rest of the time and not obsessing over it, whether it's a fear about it not happening or whatever it is. Now, she's also saying at the same time you have to be open and not resist messages that are trying to come through to you. Like, even like with the debt thing, this wasn't the best scenario or the best outlet. But your higher awareness, or whatever the heck you want to call it, and your guides too, they weren't going to let that happen anyway. And this is a much better scenario, what you're describing here. This is a much better scenario. As they're saying that you're not going to be, mired and bogged down in all this future debt. It's almost like a different kind of debt that can be resolved in a different way from what you're describing. And that's basically what they're calling it. They're almost calling it like a different type of debt. And it's a better, it's a better type of debt. It doesn't feel like it's one that's going to hold as much immense energy, especially since you're doing it through a person, which was your original idea anyway, versus the government. And it's also not a U.S. person. So you're not going to have this U.S. kind of debt that they were that they were mentioning the last time. And now she's also saying, though, but you need to speak your mind at the same time. You can't bottle up worry. So if the worry is there, you can acknowledge it. It doesn't mean run around feeling this worry and you are thinking it in your head, but at the same time you want to deny it, because that isn't a good thing to look at or admit that it's there, because then you might end up manifesting something that you don't want out of it. But that can actually end up manifesting more if you are almost holding on to that, because then you're really holding it into your energy field, and then you're giving it even more power by saying, no, I can't express that or acknowledge that at all. So it is good that you did allow yourself to feel that to a degree. But it feels like there was still kind of this pushing against and kind of forcing versus allowing, and being in this space of allowing. And patience. And they're also saying, and knowing. And they're saying that even if you don't know, you still know that things will work out. Even if you don't know the exact outcome. And it feels like sometimes that's a test, to not know the exact way that something is going to fall or land. So she's saying, good job of shifting, good job of manifesting. But she's saying that you also need to think about your health. One thing is to drink a lot of water. Yeah, they're saying to make sure that you're getting enough water. Also make sure that you're getting enough oxygen. I don't really feel like outside. Like normally a guide would say outside, but almost for the area that you're living in, probably outside is not going to be the most clean air. So inside might actually be better, unless you can find, you know, a decent area with a lot of trees and nature around you. But I don't know that you'd be able to find that, you know, on a significant basis. So unless you can do that, because it feels like this is, you know, you need to take in as much oxygen as you can right now, where you're at right now. So it feels like it's better to breathe inside. It feels like there's a lot of cars, a lot of car fumes, and different kind of toxins in the air. So it's better to focus on breathing really deeply when you're inside. Uh, Feels like now you can really focus on stepping more into the person that you are. And this feels like as an Andromedan, this feels like on a soul level, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Not only physically and that aspect of you. This feels like Like this feels like the deepest place within you. It feels like stepping more into that vibration. And that can be a focus now because certain more kind of physical and mental things are a little bit more settled. And now that that's more established, where the energy almost, how it was going to finalize. And that's the thing. She's saying that again. Guides don't always know that with everything. They can sense where an energy is going to go. They can know the probable outcome. They can also see where it must go, and even where it's contracted to go, so where it will go in certain cases, but not with everything. Because some things it's like, okay, you've contracted for this to happen, but there are a lot of different ways that that specific thing can happen. And they can guide you to it in the easiest way, if that makes sense. But it doesn't mean that they just know like every speck of, you know, dust that's going to fly into your hair, you know, or every bug that's going to land on you, or every flower you're going to step on, or whatever, you know, or every rose you're going to smell, you know. It feels, they're saying they don't, she's saying they don't know every single detail of how everything is going to manifest. But they can certainly help you along. They know what's meant to manifest. They also know what probable energies you're coming into, which means they can steer you out of them or steer you towards them, like keep steering you towards them, or they can adjust things as you allow them to and as is necessary, or certain things that you've already given them permission to adjust, they just will automatically, even forcefully. If they have to, but that's if you've given them permission already ahead of time. So in other words, you've contracted something before you even came here. Obviously, they have to help you with those certain things. So some things will happen. But again, there could still be a lot of different ways that those things do happen. And then this person who is helping you with this loan, this even feels like there's back and forth between you and this person's guides. It also feels like you kind of share a common guide. So that happens with families sometimes. Sometimes they'll be like, but I feel like this is especially because of you and how you operate, because that still doesn't normally happen, but this has to do with you being an Andromedan and like how they've spoken about before, how you how you're like open to so many different people, and you have guides that are coming in from all these various planets and everything, and so many like different planets, different places, and then at the same time you have many guides. And you've got like some groups too. And this is just because of how you've traveled to so many different planets as a soul. And you've like met up with different, you know, being types, and you've made a lot of friends. Okay, you've made a lot of friends out there with a lot of different various types of races. So it feels like that's, in this case, that is the reason that you have this kind of common guide with this person as well. But also with family, that can happen. So if this were another random person, that would be extremely rare for that to occur. So usually if that happens, it means that this person is pretty significant to you in some way. Um, and it would be pretty rare that it doesn't have to do with the person and their relationship to you. But if it doesn't, and you're not going to know them for that long, then it would just mean that that moment, whatever they're doing, must be extremely significant for you on your path. This wasn't. Again, this feels like multiple outcomes could have produced the same thing. Even if this one seems more likely. And not only that, though, multiple outcomes with this person helping you, as strange as that sounds. So they didn't have to help you in this exact way either. And it feels like you could have ended up with more debt being established than you currently have. Okay, so that is all that they have to say for this reading. So I have a couple of minutes left here. And so I'm just going to do a little bit of clearing. And I'm going to use my purple fluorite. So there's a little bit of an energy adjustment over here going on with your left foot. So with all the readings I've given you, probably you know by now that feet a lot of times have to do with path during my readings. Sometimes they can have to do with some other things, groundedness or past incarnations. So there is a little bit of a groundedness thing here, but a lot of this is also having to do with path. It feels kind of both path and groundedness, especially path though. But the reason I'm saying adjustment is because it actually feels like something releasing and clearing on the left side. It feels like there was a big block there. Now it's not feeling like so much of a block. It's feeling more like you're allowing the allowance block to release, is how she's putting it. There's also, whoa, your head, a lot of energy up here, a lot of like buzzing thoughts everywhere. the crown chakra is I don't know, the crown chakra is almost like kind of shifted in some kind of way where it's almost like tilting or something. It seems it just seems kind of out of whack. Like it's almost like not quite in the right spot. And I wasn't feeling that before. I've never really noticed your crown chakra doing that before, so I don't know what's happened recently. Um, but that's definitely out of whack. And I'm actually remembering now something that you said in your email about like a migraine or a headache or something, which I had totally forgotten about, but that is definitely um, a result of this. Absolutely. Because this also feels like this, I don't know, strange, I want to say pressure here. But it's just because this energy isn't properly flowing, because it's not properly spinning. It's kind of tilted in this strange way. And so then it's not really able to spin properly like it would. But this just feels like it has to do with thoughts. It has to do with an obsessive amount of thoughts. And the thoughts, they don't really feel positive. It feels like dwelling on like frustration and irritation. Um, Not even only that specific emotion, but irritation in the way of something that could irritate this chakra or negatively affect this chakra. So it's not only coming from an emotion of irritation, um, but it significantly irritated this chakra. That's what it feels like. It almost feels like this almost irritation there in this chakra. And it kind of um, made it kind of go out of whack. So that's something to be aware of. So I'm a little bit over the time limit now by a couple minutes as usual. So that is the end of this reading and a little bit of clearing there. So thank you so much once again for allowing me to do another reading for you. I, as always, truly hope that it benefits you. Namaste.